Good afternoon. If you would please bow your heads and join me in prayer. Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, asking your presence to rest upon this gathering. We thank you for every person here, for their time, their commitment, and their desire to seek truth, wisdom, and the clarity in a complicated world. Lord, we lift up Congressman Byron Donalds to you. Grant him discernment, integrity, and courage as he speaks and leads. Strengthen his mind, steady his spirit, and surround him with people who pursue righteousness, humility, and service. Let his words today be guided by your will and by your truth. We ask your blessings over this event. Let the conversations be constructive. Let every heart leave encouraged, challenged, and reminded of the responsibility we carry as citizens and neighbors. Protect everyone present, give peace where there is anxiety, and stir hope where there is discouragement. May your wisdom be the compass, your grace the covering, and your justice the standard. And lastly, may your favor be upon the state of Florida and Okaloosa County. We ask all this in your name, dear Jesus. Amen. And I would just like to invite everybody to be excited about what we're about to be a part of here. And I have the pleasure just to say a few words about the congressman and then also introduce Senator Gates. And I would say to you, let's get ready, because you're about to hear from a man who is one of the most dynamic speakers that I think that we'll hear. He's energetic, he's forward-thinking, and he's a voice that's not only strong in the state of Florida, but a voice that is strong across our country. Congressman Donalds is a leader who brings real-world experience, clear conviction, and an unapologetic passion into every room he walks into. From his years in the financial sector to his service in the Florida legislature and now in the U.S. House of Representatives, he's built a reputation as someone who gets things done, someone who speaks with clarity, and someone who stands firmly on principle. Another piece of him is he has the uncanny ability to bring people together, all for the common good. He's known nationwide for his ability to communicate big ideas in ways that are bold, relatable, and refreshingly direct. Whether he's breaking down economic policy, championing constitutional values, or advocating for families and communities across this state, he brings a level of authenticity, energy that people connect with instantly. But beyond the headlines and beyond the microphones, he's a husband, he's a father, he's a family man, and he's a mentor to so many across this state. So today you're not going to be hearing just from someone who's running for governor of the great state of Florida. You're going to hear from a man who has vision. You're going to hear from a man who communicates with heart. And you're going to hear from a man who deeply believes in this country and the state of Florida. And I tell you, when I was asked to come and just say a few words, I was deeply honored, because this community is a community that believes in conservative values. I think this community is a community that believes in the military. It's a community that believes in, when you look at schools and you look at career and technical education and you look at the types of industry that's here, it's a community that wants to see refreshing things happen. And that's what our congressman is all about. And I would like to also say, in a segue, that's what our senator is all about. Senator Don Gates, he started here in this school system. He was a superintendent here who led our school system to #1 in the state of Florida. And I tell you, he is a man of conviction. He is a man of high standards. He's a man of accountability. And I'll say he is absolutely a mentor of mine. He has been with me, I'd say, every step of the way. And he's someone that I've learned from. And he went from a school district and he went to the state of Florida, and as you know, he's done great things. But he's about Okaloosa County, and he's about what happens here in this area. And for that, I could not be more grateful. And I tell you, there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about his leadership, and he takes my call, and that's something that I absolutely appreciate to this day. And I'll say that sometimes I will call him Senator, sometimes I'll call him former superintendent, but most importantly, I call him my friend, and that's Senator Don Gates.
Thank you very much, Marcus. And before we go any further, let's take a moment to say the pledge to the flag of the United States. Please rise. And please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And thank you, Superintendent, for that very generous introduction. There are reasons why Okaloosa County is an A school district and why our schools are doing better and better. And the reasons, of course, are our parents who care, our teachers who work so diligently and hard, all of those who are involved, taxpayers who reach in their pockets to make it happen, and a superintendent who is one of the most dynamic and certainly best superintendents in the state of Florida, Marcus Chambers. I assume that we're all proud and grateful to be in the free state of Florida. Is that right? Are you? Well, let me remind you that 8 years ago, Ron DeSantis was elected governor by 33,000 votes. That's less than 0.5% of the votes. That was the margin. And when the votes were coming in all across the state in that eastern time zone, it looked for a long time like we were going to lose that election. We were in jeopardy. And then the central time zone came in. Then Northwest Florida came in. If it had not been for Northwest Florida, we would have had a coked out socialist as governor of the state of Florida. But because of you, we elected the last Republican governor in this state. We did it. Northwest Florida did it. We were the margin of victory. We were the surge that won. We made history. And I believe that we can make history again with Byron Donalds as governor of the state of Florida. Let me tell you a little bit about Byron. Nothing has been given to him. Nothing has been given to him. He has earned everything he's gotten. He was raised by a single mother. He was the middle child in a family and a single mother who taught him courage, who taught him hard work, and taught him sacrifice, and taught him that he had to earn everything. So he earned his way through college. He earned his way to better and better jobs. And now I believe he has earned his way to being the Republican nominee for governor of Florida. I think he's earned this nomination in a lot of ways, but there's certainly one that matters a lot to many of us. There's more than one candidate for governor, or more than one person running on that ballot. But there's only one person who's running for governor who has won the absolute, unconditional, full-stinting, full-throated endorsement of the President of the United States, and that's Byron Donalds. Now, there's a reason why Donald Trump is all in for Byron Donalds. One reason is because when he was in the state legislature, he's the guy who made history. He led the fight to pass the first bill ever passed in this country that gave parents the opportunity to choose the schools they wanted their children to attend. School choice, Byron Donalds, he's the one who made history. And then in the United States Congress, he didn't just support Donald Trump. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump when times were tough and when there were difficulties and criticisms. He stood shoulder to shoulder against woke perversions of our children, against illegal immigration, for secure borders, and for the Second Amendment. Byron Donalds is not only a conservative, he's our kind of conservative. He believes in the things that we in Northwest Florida believe in. And that is why I believe we can make history again. I believe that Northwest Florida can be the winning margin on August 18th and again on November 3rd. We can elect a governor who can make Florida even stronger, even safer, more affordable and prosperous, and always a governor that makes our state free. The next governor of the state of Florida, the Honorable Byron Donalds.
First of all, Senator Gates, thank you so much. I really appreciate the introduction. Thank you for all your leadership, your mentorship, not just today in Northwest Florida, but really for a long time in this state. For those who don't know, my wife, Erica, she met Don Gates before I did. She and Don served on the Constitution Revision Commission 10 years ago. And I remember she would call me and she would say, you know, there's some very impressive people on this commission. I'm just honored to be here. But the most impressive, and I'm about to hurt a lot of feelings, Don, but that's okay. But the most impressive is Don Gates. Sir, seriously, thank you for all of your leadership to Florida. Thank you. Now, sitting just to his right, my left, come on, Jimmy, just come up here. Ladies and gentlemen, your member of Congress, Jimmy Patronis.
I tell you, folks, we have got a hell of a leader here in Byron Donalds. I've had the honor to serve with him over the last several years. And I'm going to put on my hat a little bit that tells you what you get with Byron. He's a workaholic. He's usually the first guy there. He's one of the last ones to leave. He hustles for the things that are important to him. And what's important to him is the success of the state of Florida. That relationship that he has got with President Trump, he would not have earned the trust of the president, just like Senator Gates said. He would not have earned the trust of President Trump if he didn't have good decision-making ability, the ability to make things happen, to hustle, to keep things moving along. When it comes to things, I'll give you a perfect example is the One Big Beautiful Bill. One Big Beautiful Bill passed by one vote. But what was happening that you did not see is Byron hustling behind the scenes, getting everybody on the reservation so we could pass no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. All the good things that happened with the One Big Beautiful Bill that every single Democrat in Congress voted against. Those are the things Byron doesn't get attaboys for, but those are the realities of what I saw behind the scenes when a guy like this assumes power and gets into a place where he can make a difference, and that's exactly what we're going to get with Byron Donalds in the governor's office. Last thing I'll leave with you is I've been through 9 hurricanes when I was CFO of the state of Florida. When a hurricane happens, you need access to the administration. And I've seen Republican administrations under Donald Trump, and I've seen Democrat administrations under the auto pen. And there's a night and day difference. It's true. It's true. I've seen a night and day difference because here we've got governors in the state of Florida, the Republican governors, that have had a good working relationship with the administration. But I tell you what, when they're the same party, things move at the speed of business. And this is what you're going to get. I tell people, I said, I get excited about having a governor who has got the president on speed dial, because that's exactly what we're all going to get. We're going to get response. We're going to get respect. When we have concerns about missions, when we get concerns about disasters, when we get concerns about getting effectiveness out of our federal agencies, there's going to be nobody who's going to have the greater influence or the trust of the president than this guy right here. His wife, Erica, she's a saint. She has been part of this team, and you get a team with both of those. She is, her strength comes to educational policy and all of the education freedom, all those things. She has had her fingerprints all over it. So there is a lot of truth to where Senator Gates and Erica have worked arm in arm together on the good things that we've been able to accomplish with ed policy in the state of Florida. So he served in the state legislature, went to Washington, make a difference, and now we have a chance to bring him home. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Jimmy. I definitely appreciate that. I'm going to pick up actually where Jimmy left off. A couple of things. First, when we were in Washington dealing with, the president's agenda, having to get it through, listen, we spent a lot of times arguing against the left and arguing against their craziness. And don't get me wrong, we're going to come back to that in a little bit. But some of the hardest stuff is getting Republicans on board. It's just tough. It's really hard. I'm a fiscal conservative, been one my entire political career. And one of the things that's really tough is when you're at the point where this is the deal, it's this or it's nothing. And then you have to look the people back home in the eye. Jimmy talked about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the largest tax cut on Social Security benefits in the history of this country. This was all done. The part sometimes that we don't talk about, small business taxes. You see, the Democrats voted against us keeping small business taxes low. The Section 199A deduction was set to expire. Democrats were more than content to let the taxes on our small business owners go up. We had to make sure that we got that business done for the future of our country. Because if small business owners can't make ends meet, that's our economy going straight down the tubes. And Democrats wanted to play politics and blame Republicans and blame President Trump as opposed to doing what was right on behalf of the people of our country. And so I was in the White House, I was on Capitol Hill, and I remember one meeting, it was a late meeting, and somebody we all know who cut his teeth in the Florida House for quite some time. He's now the deputy chief of staff. I was in a meeting with him in the library room behind the Ways and Means committee room. And we had members from all sides of the Republican conference. In Washington, D.C., they call them the five families. It's kind of like that. You got different factions amongst the Republican conference. And so we're in this room, and Russ Vought, the head of OMB, James Blair, the deputy chief of staff to the president of the United States is there. And we had some members who were still holding out on the final vote. And Russ and James basically said to the members, this is what we're going to do to assuage your concerns. And members they were still skittish. And I'm in the room and I'm just listening to it all. And at the end of it, I stood up and I said to the other members who know me and who respect me, and I said to them, Russ Vought is probably the most conservative OMB director in the history of this country. He's one of us. If he's saying this is what he's going to do, at some point, guys, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I said, James Blair is somebody I've known for 10 years. He is a conservative. If he's saying this is what he's going to do, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. And the President of the United States has made those commitments. So the members agreed. We voted the bill up. We got it across the line with one vote. It went to the president's desk. He signed it into law. And the portions that I'm talking about were around the Green New Deal. We wanted to eviscerate the Green New Deal in the House, and we did. And we did. And then the bill went to the Senate, not a Senate with Don Gates in it, the United States Senate. That's where it went. And so in the United States Senate, there was a lot of percolating and negotiating. And what happened was the final decider of what was going to happen was I was going to say Elizabeth Warren, not her, Alaska, Lisa Murkowski. Yeah. So Lisa negotiated in the Senate to keep a bunch of the Green New Deal provisions in place. And House conservatives were furious. I was furious. And so we had that meeting at the White House where we were given assurances about what was going to occur. And this is where you had to get members to understand they're going to do this. Trust me, we'll make this happen. And so the members trusted me, they trusted Russ, they trusted James, obviously they trusted the president, and they voted for the package. 2 days later, the White House comes out and makes an announcement about what they're going to do with the Green New Deal. And they essentially said, we're not accepting applications anymore. A tweet comes out from Lisa Murkowski. I can't believe this occurred. I thought we negotiated this. And the White House team was essentially said, yeah, we negotiated. And we just decided we're not going to continue this anymore. And so this is how it works sometimes behind the scenes. What Jimmy's talking about, a lot of this work is not seen by people. Whether it was the president's agenda, when we had to negotiate or begin to negotiate with Joe Biden when he was president about raising the nation's debt ceiling, about what it was to put together H.R. 2, the strongest border security package ever to hit the desk of the House of Representatives. I was in the room for those negotiations. When I was on Capitol Hill, we negotiated the largest cut in federal spending plus the greatest border security package ever to hit the desk of the House of Representatives, a 30% cut in federal spending with border security. That was my bill. And we did that negotiation with other conservatives. So when we're in this campaign for governor, we talk a lot about Florida's future. You guys have some of the rally signs in here. And on one side, it says defending the Florida dream. And when we talk about defending the Florida dream, it's not a tagline. These are conversations I've had with my family and my friends for more than a year and a half. These are conversations through 62 of the 67 counties in our state. And by the way, it is a pleasure to be here in Okaloosa County with all of you. It is my honor to be here. And so it was doing all this work when you're talking to people about what matters most to our state. And when you condense it all, when you're trying to figure out from all the conversations and all the business leaders that you meet, people who lead nonprofit groups, pastors in our churches from all across Florida, legislative leaders who've wanted to get something done, and for whatever the reason, the bandwidth didn't come together. And when you put it all together, it became one simple phrase. It became defending the Florida dream. I moved to this state 30 years ago from Brooklyn, New York. I came here just to go to college. I went to this college down the street in Tallahassee, Florida. You might have heard of it. Go Noles. Go Noles. Oh, there's a gator up here. All right, that's okay. That's all right. You know, every time I do this about my college, you always get these gator chomps in the crowd. I don't know if there's like a rivalry or something that's going on in Florida. Ma'am, I want to assure you, I have a responsibility to take care of all of our universities now, except for 60 minutes on the gridiron. Other than that, we're going to be okay. Other than that, we're going to be okay. But when we talked about these issues, no matter what part of the state I'm in, insurance, everybody's talking about it. We have to continue to work hard in insurance and reform that system. What the legislature and Governor DeSantis did around tort reform, Jimmy was CFO when this all went through, it was the right thing to do. We actually started to get some control of our insurance markets again. We have more insurance companies coming into Florida. Now we have to do the other side. We have to make sure that those carriers stay with you through the storm. It's one thing to pay the premiums. It's another thing to make sure that they have the staying power, that when you need them, they are there. The other thing we have to do is we have to reform the regulatory side of our insurance markets. We haven't made any changes there in more than 25 years. Our catastrophe fund, which was created after Hurricane Andrew, there hasn't really been any substantive changes. In year one, we are going to bring substantive, real regulatory reforms to Florida's insurance markets. It is overdue. And we can push costs down 20 to 25% in our state. And that directly impacts the pocketbook of every Floridian, because we want to make sure you can continue to afford Florida. The property tax amendment's on the ballot. That's in your hands now. That's in your hands, because the people of Florida need relief. You're not piggy banks for government. We have your sheriff here. There he is. Sheriff, come on out here to say hello to everybody. Come on, Sheriff. They're your people. Say hello.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm honored to endorse Byron Donald, our congressman from down in Naples, and I know that he has done so much for this state, working with governor and working with all the different legislators and my good friend Jimmy Petronas there. And I know that he's done great things in Washington, and he's going to carry this state forward and has some great ideas on change to bring us into the future, into the new years. And I'm proud to endorse the congressman for governor, and I'm confident he's going to be the next governor of this great state. Thank you.
Well, now I got to really make sure we live up to the second half of what I was going to say. But no, seriously, we want to make sure that you can afford our state. But your sheriff and his deputies, the men and women of the Niceville Police Department, we got to make sure they get paid too. Our firefighters, our emergency personnel, they have to be paid as well. We got to make sure the roads get done, and we can do all this. Whether the amendment passes or fails is one thing. Next year, we're going to be using the Tax and Budget Commission, which is in Florida's Constitution, to review all taxes and fees in our state. And we want to have a couple of goals. Number one, we got to modernize the system. Because right now we have a tax system that treats Okaloosa County the same way as it treats Miami-Dade County. And it's time to modernize that system and respect the differences between those counties. Number two, we want to end homestead property taxes once and for all in our state. But if we can't get there, if the math doesn't come together, our seniors on fixed income, our working families trying to get started in this state, we want to make sure that they get real relief or get them off the tax rolls altogether. That's what we want to see happen in our state. Because let's be clear, and this is coming from a finance man. I spent 17 years in the financial industry. 17 years of my working career was in business. When taxes and insurance are more than principal and interest, you got a problem. Nobody signed up for that one. So we have a responsibility in government to have more restraint, to reform our systems, to make life in Florida more affordable for you, and to get out of your way. That's what we are going to do as Florida's next governor. When it comes to housing, and this is important for our young people and even for some of our retirees. When it comes to housing, 30% of the cost of a new home is government. Not sheetrock, not copper, not wiring, not labor, government. We have to modernize our permitting and planning departments. We have to squeeze that government timelines out of what it costs to build housing, to build roads, to build infrastructure in our state. I underwrote contractors and developers when I was in banking, so I know how the construction timelines work. Well, the longer the soft cost period goes, if that thing goes 2 years, if it goes 3 years, you know who pays the cost? Not the contractor, not the developer. You pay that cost. And so government, again, we have a responsibility to modernize and be efficient, to push down those construction costs. Because when you're talking about housing, taxes, or insurance, those delays add up and they come out of your pocket. And we want to make sure that Florida remains and gets back to being an affordable state for the people who want to call it home. Today, Don, you'll like this one. A little bit ago, the head of the Florida Democrat Party, Nikki Fried, she came out, and I guess she did a TV interview yesterday, Jimmy. And you know, Jimmy and Nikki are old colleagues. And she did a TV interview, and she said something about how Democrats were going to fix the affordability crisis created by Republicans. Because they've been in charge for so long, and they made the affordability crisis. So I saw the clip, and I immediately went back into the archives. You see, one of the things I get to do now, having done so many different interviews and podcasts and talked about these issues, is I got receipts. So I had to go back to an interview I did back during the presidential election when the Democrats were trying to run from the fact that they created the greatest inflation this nation had ever seen in almost 50 years. And by the way, it's funny, the Democrats have now done this twice. They did it under Jimmy Carter, and then they did it under Joe Biden. And they created reckless inflation. There's some people nodding their head, they're like, I was been around for both. I didn't want to look too far and pick and choose, Jimmy. But they've done this twice. They created a crazy inflation. They created it. Now they want to run away from it. And then they want to blame Republicans. I sat on a budget committee in my freshman year as a member of Congress. I remember when the previous OMB director, Shalonda Young, brought this bill called the American Rescue Plan to Congress. This was Joe Biden's big agenda brought to us by the Democrat Party. And I remember reading that bill, and I said to the secretary of OMB, the OMB director, I said, this is going to cause inflation. You're going to pay people to stay home. You're going to create a labor shortage, an artificial one, and prices are going to skyrocket as a result. And they gave us all the song and dance. Oh, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, Congressman. And I go, yes, it is. And then a funny thing happened. This guy named Larry Summers, who was the OMB director to Bill Clinton. He was an economic advisor to Barack Obama. He wrote an article saying that that bill would cause inflation, and that inflation will be devastating to American families. So we had to repost that today to remind Miss Nikki Fried, the head of the Democrat Party, that your party has created the affordability crisis that Floridians and Americans suffer under. They created it. Right now, we're in the process of fixing that damage. And the only way we're going to continue to fix that damage is to keep Florida under Republican control, because we know the Democrats are crazy. We know they're crazy. We know they're crazy. These are the people who brought us solar panels and windmills and wonder why utility bills are going up. I don't know, maybe we should have just stuck with nuclear and natural gas, the things that actually work, that power our Navy fleet. I believe in small modular nuclear reactors need to be the way we power Florida into the future. And some people say, well, Byron, nuclear, like small modular nuclear reactors? Yes, they've existed for 80 years. They've existed in the belly of our nuclear submarines. And go ask a Navy man. They will tell, there's a Navy man right there shaking his head. Go ask a Navy man. He will tell you that that technology works great. And they don't get off the subs with green eyes and green teeth. When they get off that sub, their wives hug them because they're still looking good and they're Navy men. We got to use common sense again. And the reason why Florida has set itself apart from every other state in America is because we use common sense conservative principles. And when the Democratic left comes complaining that they're not getting their way, we look at them and say, you're not getting your way because your ideas are stupid. When our state was in the middle of the financial collapse brought to us by other terrible Democrat policy that tinkered with housing underwriting and collapsed our housing market from underneath us, Rick Scott was running for governor then. And Rick Scott had a plan of 700,000 jobs in 7 years. I forgot who he was even running against. It doesn't really matter. Because when you talk to Rick Scott about how many jobs he created, he tells you, Byron, we didn't create 700,000 jobs. We created 1.4 million jobs. And he pulled Florida out. Rick Scott did a great job as our governor. A great job. When the Democrats came with a guy who, oh my goodness. When they came with a guy who was a true radical progressive, Florida elected then Congressman DeSantis to become Governor DeSantis. And through COVID-19 and the culture wars and stabilizing Florida even more against the crazy of the Democratic left, Ron DeSantis has done a great job leading our state. And now we're back at it again, 8 years later. By the way, I remember that time back in 2018. I was on the debate prep team for then Congressman DeSantis in the general election. It was myself, Richard Corcoran, who was my first Speaker of the House, who also became our Secretary of Education and now leads the new College of Florida, and the son of another congressman from the Panhandle, one Congressman Matt Gaetz, was also a part of that debate team. By the way, we know where he gets it from, Don. He's shrewd, he's smart. He's shrewd and he's smart, that one. He's good. But you got to understand, we were in this fight back in 2018 because we understood with the wrong leadership, Florida would not become what it is today. We are the pinnacle. We are the standard of excellence. And we have to go back to the polls and we have to win again. Yes, it's about affordability. It's also about the future of our economy. We have long been an agriculture state. We are going to continue to be an agriculture state because ag is critical to feeding our families in our state. But we also feed half of America when it gets cold. That comes out of Florida. We've long since been a tourism state. And because of the World Cup and all the Europeans realizing how awesome the Gulf of America is, they all love it now. They love Florida now. They came over here and they're like, oh my gosh, you guys just have beer everywhere and the Gulf of America and air conditioning. Like, wow. So they're going to be back. They're coming back. And we're going to be here when they're ready to spend money in our stores and stay in our hotels or in Airbnb, depending on if you have one or not. They're coming back. And that's a good thing. We're still going to be a tourism state. As we continue to add more people, we're obviously a healthcare state because people like feeling healthy and young and they like taking walks on the beach. They want to be able to enjoy Florida. They want to be able to sit outside, mostly when it's chilly and cool, but even sometimes when it's hot. We like it. We're always going to be a healthcare state. That's only going to continue. But we also are now quickly becoming an aerospace and commercial space and defense state. We are going to have more manufacturing and drone technology here in the great state of Florida. We are going to have more research and testing of that technology here in the great state of Florida. And about 6.5, 7 hours away from here at Kennedy Space Center, which used to be a museum 5 years ago, it's a museum no longer. It is the most active commercial spaceport in the Western Hemisphere, right here in Florida. We're going to build the jobs around commercial space for engineers and scientists, but also for machinists and contractors and welders. And to do all that, we have to balance our growth with protecting our beauty. And the next governor has to have an economics background in order to know how to do that. Because you can't wait on some lobbyist to tell you. You can't wait on a white paper to help you make a decision. You have to be able to read the information and quickly deduce what's going to matter for the future of our state. And so this is why I kind of go back to my working background. 17 years in financial services. And I will tell you, in our business, if you get it wrong, you're out of a job. So being in there 17 years, I didn't get it wrong. And you're making decisions with other people's retirements. You're making decisions with a bank's lending capital. You're making decisions with investor money to do what's right for the future of their investments. And my duty now is to take that knowledge with the conservative values from my time in the State House and in Congress to lead Florida into the future. Now, I see we have two young people over here. Come on up here. They're like, really? Yeah, come on up here. Come on. Now, come on, step on up. You got it? He's just going to take the big step. So what are your names?
Olivia.
Olivia. And how old are you?
7.
Olivia is 7, everybody. How old, what's your name?
Nathan.
Nathan. How old are you?
11.
11. You guys know each other?
She's my sister.
Oh, it's a sister. Okay. Got to ask these questions. Where's mom and dad?
My dad's right there.
Hey, Dad, how you doing? You know what you want to do when you grow up?
Not yet.
That's okay. What about you, Olivia?
I want to be like you.
You want to be like me? It was completely planned, folks. Now watch one of the guys running against me clip it and be like, see, he's playing around. So here's what we're going to do. I want y'all to stand right on the edge, toes to the edge. There you go. I want everybody to get a good look at you. This is our future. They're our future. We get so caught up in these campaigns, everybody's thinking about, well, over the next 4 years, I'm going to do this, and that's why you should elect me, and so on, and so on, and so on. But as your next governor, I'm not thinking about the next 4 years. I'm thinking about the next 30 years. The next 30 years is going to define the success of our state. Their ability to get a world-class education, world-class. He doesn't know what he wants to do yet. Nathan, that's okay. You know why? Because we actually believe, I don't even know what that is. That's Nathan running away. But we actually believe that there should be multiple pathways of success for you. I'm a Florida State Seminole, but if you don't go to college, that doesn't mean you can't be successful in our state. So what we're going to do, and this directly impacts you, what we're going to do, we have a Launchpad initiative, and that Launchpad initiative actually works with industry to have the apprenticeships, the internships, the credentialing opportunities, the on-the-job training. So if you find a field that just speaks to you, when you're a junior or senior in high school, you can take a day out of the classroom to go be at that company and learn that skill and learn that trade. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I got 3 sons, 22, 18, 15. Yeah, I know. Wow, right? Yeah, I'm an adult. The number one thing that makes my heart feel good is if you walked across stage at high school and you already were walking into a job. And no disrespect to Starbucks, but not at Starbucks. If you want to be a welder, you should be able to do that and have that skill set coming out of high school in Florida to hit the ground running. And you, Olivia, we're going to put you on the campaign trail. You're going to knock doors. You're going to knock some doors. You see, folks, when we talk about these policies and the vision for our state, it's more than just a governor or a member of Congress or a state rep or a state senator. It's really about the future. Our job is just to put the state in position for its success to be directed by you. Our job is to make sure the state is prepared for them to take the reins of leadership to keep this whole thing going. I'm really glad this campaign is happening through America's 250th birthday, because so much is being talked about America 250. The truth is, for America to last another 250 years, it doesn't require us. It requires their success, and the success of their children, and the success of their children's children. And in order to do that, we have to make sure they're prepared for success. And that's why I'm excited to run to be your next governor. The primary is in 8 days. So who here has voted, by the way? Okay, about 25% or so. Who's going to vote? That's a lot of hands. Olivia's going to come over and she's going to tell you who to vote for in a little bit. But once this primary is done, and they come and go, and I get it. Jimmy's been through them, Don's been through them, Olivia, sounds like you're going to be going through them at some point. We've all been through them, and they get tough, and they get rough. Because when people are competing, the elbows come out. That's the way it is. But when the primary is over, we are going to be one party, and we are going to be one movement, and we have one goal in about 85 days. In about 85 days, our goal will be defeating the Democrats once again in Florida. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why this fight is just as important today as it was in 2022, and as it was in 2018, and as it was in 2024. Every 2 years, we seem to be going through this. But let me tell you why. The Democrats are running a guy named David Jolly. David Jolly is a former Republican, turned independent, turned doesn't know what he wants to be, turned Democrat. He decided last year he was a Democrat all of a sudden. He decided that so he could run for governor. This is a guy who has spent his entire life in politics. He's one of those longtime career staffers who always wanted to be elected. He was a staffer to the late Congressman Bill Young out of the Pinellas County area. And when Bill Young passed away, David Jolly stepped in and won the seat. And then he didn't last long. He lost the seat to Charlie Crist. And then he's been aimless, trying to figure out who he is. Here's the truth. He's a Trojan horse for the Democrat Socialists of America. He is a Trojan horse for the radicals who would love nothing more than for Florida to look more like Virginia and New York and Illinois and California. And let me explain example number one. David Jolly still believes that Olivia should have to compete against boys in sports. Just crazy. You figured he would have listened to Sophie Cunningham tell him the truth. Yeah, she's over here pointing. You figured he would have listened and said, you know what? We shouldn't let boys compete against girls. We shouldn't let men compete against women. But he says these are democratic values. Well, I say they can keep those values in the Democrat Party, but those are not Florida's values. In Florida, we protect Olivia and we protect young girls. And we don't shy away from that. He says these are culture wars. No. Defending common sense and defending young girls is not a culture war. That is common sense, and that's what red-blooded Americans do. And we're going to continue to protect young girls. We're going to continue to protect Florida's culture from the radical left. The same radical left would look at Nathan and try to blame all the ills of society on him, as if he did it. It's a young man trying to figure out what he's going to do in life. Instead of trying to blame other people, how about the Democrats look themselves in the mirror and realize their policies make no sense and have never made any sense? The governor of our state has to make 5,000 or so appointments. The governor of our state is going to have to appoint judges every single year. The governor of our state is the person that runs the Department of Education in the state of Florida, the transportation systems, the Department of Environmental Protection, and I can go on and on and on. And the last thing that Florida needs is to turn our state over to the Democrat socialists who already destroyed New York, Illinois, and California. We're not going to let that happen, whether it's here in Niceville or anywhere else in Florida. So in 85 days, over the next 85 days, I'm going to keep coming back to the Panhandle. You're going to see, by the way, your beaches are beautiful. They really are beautiful. But I'm going to be coming back and coming back and coming back. Don knows, Jimmy knows, and any time that it's been close in Florida, what brings it home is the Panhandle. It does it every single time. But we're on the precipice of something important here. We've been the #1 state in America for quite some time. The other states envy us because of that. The only way we keep it going is that we get out and vote. The only way we keep this alive for Nathan and Olivia is we make sure you show up, you cast your ballot, you keep Florida red, and you keep Florida free. I'm going to be fighting with you. I'm going to be on your side because I came here 30 years ago just to go to college, and I realized I lived the Florida dream in my life. And the last thing I will ever let happen is to have that dream destroyed for the young people who are going to come next in the great state of Florida. So Niceville, I need you with me over the next 8 days and this November. Are you with me? Well, Niceville, it was great to be here. God bless you. God bless Florida. And God bless America. Thank you. You guys come with me.